Krishna.
Hi, Krishna. Oh.
Must be midday.
Oh, dear me.
Dear us. Dear you.
Alright, it's Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 33. So we're coming up to the seed verses. This
No,
is
we're
really...
starting the seed verses.
Start, well, yeah, okay, we're starting.
Not coming up to.
So this is a really long... Oh, sound check. This is a really long purport, so just stick around. Okay, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 33. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. Purport. This is a very long purport. We should note very carefully that the personality of Godhead is addressing Lord Brahma and specifying with great emphasis himself, pointing out that it is he, the personality of Godhead, who existed before the creation. It is he only who maintains the creation, and it is he only who remains after the annihilation of the creation. Brahma is also a creation of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist puts forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma, also being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from the I, the absolute truth, is identical with the Lord, the principle of I, and that there is thus nothing more than the principle of I, as explained in this verse. Accepting the argument of the impersonalist, it is to be admitted that the Lord is the creator I, and that the Brahma is the created I. Therefore, there is a difference between the two I's, namely the predominator I and the predominated I. Therefore, there are still two I's, even accepting the argument of the impersonalist. But we must note carefully that these two I's are accepted in the Vedic literature, in the Katha Upanishad, in the sense of quality. The Katha Upanishad says, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. The creator I and the created I are both accepted in the Vedas as qualitatively one, because both of them are nityas and chaitanas. But the singular I is the creator I, and the created I's are a plural number because there are many I's, like Brahma and those generated by Brahma. It is the simple truth. The Father creates or begets a son, and the Son also creates many other sons. And all of them may be one as human beings, but at the same time, from the Father, the Son and the grandsons are all different. The Son cannot take the place of the Father, nor can the grandsons. Simultaneously, the Father, the Son, and the grandson are one and different also. As human beings, they are one, but as relativities, they are different. Therefore, the relativities of the Creator and the created, or the predominator and the predominated, have been differentiated in the Vedas by saying that the predominator I is the feeder of the predominated I's, and thus there is a vast difference between the two principles of I.
Okay.
That's just the first paragraph, by the way.
So, yes, would you like to care to
No,
extrapolate?
why don't you do that?
So, although it may sound a little bit confusing, it shouldn't be really that confusing. It's the basics of our Gaudiya Vaishnav philosophy and Siddhanta under Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the principle of Chintya Beda Abeda Tattva, which means that the predominator I is Krishna, or the Supreme Lord, and he is also a person, just like in Bhagavad Gita says, Natvevaham Jatuna Samnatwam Name Janadipaha. Nichaiva Nabhavishra, yeah, like that. And explains that never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. And in that way, we understand that Krishna is a supreme, is an I. He's an individual, but he's the supreme I, the supreme individual. Then there's the predominated I's. I meaning I, with an apostrophe. I like I love, I do, I don't. So the predominated I's are all the individual I's, all the us, the individual spirit souls, the individual spiritual beings. So we are the predominated I's. So Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. That means that there's the Nityo and the Nityanam and the Chaitanas and the Chaitananam. So there's the predominator and the predominated. I think that's basically the essence of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Did you understand that from what you read?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So she just gave me the opportunity to explain it. Thank you. It's very kind of you. In another feature of this verse, no one can deny the personalities of both the Lord and Brahma. Therefore, in the ultimate issue, both the predominator and the predominated are persons. This conclusion refutes the conclusion of the impersonalists that in the ultimate issue, everything is impersonal. This impersonal feature stressed by the less intelligent and personalistic school is refuted by pointing out that the predominator I is the absolute truth and that he is a person. The predominated I, Brahma, is also a person, but he is not the absolute. For realization of one's self in spiritual psychology, for realization of oneself in spiritual psychology, it may be convenient to assume oneself to be the same principle as the absolute truth, but there is always the difference of the predominated and the predominator, as clearly pointed out here in this verse, which is grossly misused by the impersonalists. Brahma is factually seeing face to face his predominator, Lord, who exists in his transcendental eternal form, even after the annihilation of the material creation. The form of the Lord as seen by Brahma existed before the creation of Brahma, and the material manifestation with all the ingredients and agents of material creation are also energetic expansions of the Lord. And after the exhibition of the Lord's energy comes to a close, what remains is the same personality of Godhead. Therefore, the form of the Lord exists in all circumstances of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. The Vedic hymns confirm this fact as the statement, Vasudevo va idam agra asinna brahma, nachai shankara eko narayana asinna brahma neshan, etc. Before the creation, there was none except Vasudeva. There was neither Brahma nor Shankar. Only Narayan was there and no one else, neither Brahma nor Ishana. Sripad Shankaracharya also confirms in his comments on the Bhagavad Gita that Narayan, or the personality of Godhead, is transcendental to all creation, but that the whole creation is the product of avyakta. Therefore, the difference between the created and the creator is always there, although both the creator and the created are of the same quality. So again, simultaneous oneness and difference. Beta abeda tattva.
The other feature of the statement is that the supreme truth is Bhagavan, or the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead and his kingdom have already been explained. The kingdom of God is not void as conceived by the impersonalists. The Vaikuntha planets are full of transcendental variegatedness, including the four-handed residents of those planets with great opulence of wealth and prosperity, and there are even airplanes and other amenities required for high-grade personalities. Therefore, the personality of Godhead exists before the creation, and he exists with all transcendental variegatedness in the Vaikuntha Lokas. The Vaikuntha Lokas, also accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as being of the Sanatana nature, are not annihilated even after the annihilation of the manifested cosmos. Those transcendental planets are of a different nature altogether, and that nature is not subjected to the rules and regulations of material creation, maintenance, or annihilation. The existence of the personality of Godhead implies the existence of the Vaikuntha Lokas, as the existence of a king implies the existence of a kingdom.
Yeah, so still carrying on with the purport, then means that, you want to extrapolate?
No, you're going to say something, it's fine.
So it means mainly the point here that's being explained is that also the spiritual world was opened up before Lord Brahma, so there's a place and a space. There's actual planets, and there exists a kingdom or a place. It's not all impersonal. It's not all just one, the bright or the light. Please excuse, they're doing some construction work outside. So like that. So there is variegatedness, and the Vaikuntha Lokas, Vaikuntha Lokas are a place, and it's there's activity there. There's differentiation. There's distinction and personality. All of those things exist. Anything you'd like to add? Okay. In various places in Srimad Bhagavatam and in other revealed scriptures, the existence of the personality of Godhead is mentioned. For example, in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.8.10, Maharaj Parikshit asks, Sachapi yatra purusho vishwastit yud bhavapyaya muktva tam mayam mayesha shete sarva guhashaya. How does the personality of Godhead, the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, who is always freed from the influence of the illusory energy and is the controller of the same, lie in everyone's heart? Similarly, also is a question of Viduras, Bhagavatam 3.7.37. Tatvanam bhagavams te sham kattida prati shankramaha. Tatremam ka upashiram ka uswid anusherate. Sridhar Swami explains this in his notes. During the annihilation of the creation, who serves the Lord lying on the Shesha, etc. This means that the transcendental Lord, with all his name, fame, quality, and paraphernalia, exists eternally. The same confirmation is also in the Kashi Kanda of the Skanda Purana, in connection with Dhruv Charit. It is said there, Na chaivante pi yad bhakta mahatyam pralayapadi atochuta kile loke sa eka sarvago vyayaha. Even the devotees of the personality of Godhead are not annihilated during the period of the entire annihilation of the material world, not to speak of the Lord himself. The Lord is ever existing in all three stages of material change.
The impersonalist adduces no activity in the Supreme, but in this discussion between Brahma and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is said to have activities also, as he has his form and quality. The activities of Brahma and other demigods during the maintenance of the creation are to be understood as the activities of the Lord. The king or the head executive of a state may not be seen in the government offices, for he may be engaged in royal comforts. Yet it should be understood that everything is being done under his direction and everything is at his command. The personality of Godhead is never formless. In the material world, he may not be visible in his personal form to the less intelligent class of men, and therefore he may sometimes be called formless. But actually, he is always in his eternal form in his Vaikuntha planets, as well as in other planets of the universes as different incarnations. The example of the sun is very appropriate in this connection. The sun in the night may not be visible to the eyes of men in the darkness, but the sun is visible wherever it has risen. That the sun is not visible to the eyes of the inhabitants of a particular part of the earth does not mean that the sun has no form.
Yeah, that the sun doesn't exist. Nice example. In the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 141, there is the hymn Atmavaidam Agra Asit Purusha Vidaha. The mantra indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even before the appearance of the Purusha incarnation. In the Bhagavad Gita 15:18, it is said that Lord Krishna is Purushottam because he is the supreme Purusha, transcendental even to the Purusha Aksha and the Purusha Kshar. The Akshar Purusha, or the Mahavishnu, throws his glance over Prakriti or material nature, but the Purushottam existed even before that. The Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad therefore confirms the statements of the Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Person, Purushottam.
In some of the Vedas, it is also said that in the beginning only the impersonal Brahman existed. However, according to this verse, the impersonal Brahman, which is the glowing effulgence of the body of the Supreme Lord, may be called the immediate cause. But the cause of all causes, or the remote cause, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's impersonal feature is existent in the material world because by material senses and material eyes, the Lord cannot be seen or perceived. One has to spiritualize the senses before one can expect to see or perceive the Supreme Lord. But he is always engaged in his personal capacity, and he is eternally visible to the inhabitants of Vaikuntha, eye to eye. Therefore, he is materially impersonal, just as the executive head of the state may be impersonal in the government offices, although he is not impersonal in the government house. Similarly, the Lord is not impersonal in his abode, which is always Nirashta Kukakam, as stated in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam. Therefore, both the impersonal and personal features of the Lord are acceptable, as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. This personality of Godhead is very emphatically explained in the Bhagavad Gita in connection with the verse Brahmano he pratishtaham. Therefore, in all ways, the confidential part of spiritual knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead, and not his impersonal Brahman feature. One should therefore have his ultimate aim of realization not in the impersonal feature, but in the personal feature of the Absolute Truth. The example of the sky within the pot and the sky outside the pot may be helpful to the student for his realization of the all-pervading quality of the cosmic consciousness of the Absolute Truth. But that does not mean that the individual part and parcel of the Lord becomes the supreme by a false claim. It means only that the conditioned soul is a victim of the illusory energy in her last snare. To claim to be one with the cosmic consciousness of the Lord is the last trap set by the illusory energy, or devi maya. Even in the impersonal existence of the Lord, as it is in the material creation, one should aspire for personal realization of the Lord. And that is the meaning of Paschad Aham Yad Etachayo Avashishyate Somsmi Aham.
So, yes. It's still this battle between the personal and the impersonal. and trying to make sure that we understand the Lord in His eternal personal form, and how this desire to become one with the Lord is considered as the last snare of Maya. The illusory energy's last snare is to make you think that you can become God. Already we were thinking that we were God in the sense of being here as jivas trying to enjoy the material world. But then Maya tries to trick us again by helping us to think that we can merge into the Lord and become one with Him. So it's a very dangerous situation. Anything from your side?
Yes, it's very dangerous. I don't get this point though that people struggle with, which I'm fortunate, and not because I'm fortunate, but whatever credits are there, with this impersonal and personal feature business.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense, maybe because of my upbringing and that, because you always see God as a form. That's God, that's God, that's God.
Mm.
And it just doesn't make sense that the ultimate is formless.
Mm.
I mean, that in itself is a nightmare, to think, well, when we die, we just become formless. It doesn't bring any comfort or pleasure, and to think that because the basic point that Prabhupada makes, and it's true, it's like you have form, so the Lord should have everything you have. If He doesn't, then clearly that person isn't the Lord.
Yeah, I guess the I'm trying to think where this is. In the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's 4:11. Vidaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mamupashrita. It's 4:11, 4:10. Prabhupada mentions in the purport there that actually people prefer not materialism, but prefer impersonalism, because in material life our experience is that relationships and personal form and personal character is imperfect and causes so much pain and challenge that they just want to eradicate that personal form, that personalism, the individual character, and in that way they feel like they'll be free from suffering, because they won't have any form or character or personality. They won't have to have clashes of relationship. So the idea is that by eradicating the personality and the form, then one can achieve real peace. And it's almost like a nightmare for some people to think that even in the here and after, or the there and after, or whatever it is, that I'm going to have to be a person and deal with other persons, and then that's a little bit too hard to handle. For me, it seems very clear that the topmost thing is not to eradicate that thing which is so difficult here, but to understand it and embrace it. And that, because that's the most difficult thing, that means that is the topmost thing. Not that just by eradicating it and forgetting all about it, that's the topmost. Of course, some people might argue that to embrace that everything is impersonal and giving up all those attachments to those other personal forms and our own personal likes and dislikes, that might be more difficult. But I don't think so. I think it's easier for people to just want to give up that whole personal form and run away from.
And that's the point, is fight or flight, so it's just like negate it. It's not good, it's not working, let me negate it,
Mm-hmm.
Let me negate it, let me cover it, So, because a lot of times people also say, I've heard this as well, certain family members, you're escaping reality by taking to this process, by being, religious, whatever. And I always say, no, I'm facing it, I'm looking at it, and what we call reality, birth, old age, disease and death, I don't really like it. So I'm just trying to see, is there an alternate option out there? What is it all about? Why am I here? What is it? That argument's also there, that you're just you're the ones that are in denial and you're covering up, you know. It's an eternal battle, as we can see from this book, which is not new.
Okay, so last paragraph of the first verse of the Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. Brahmaji was also accepted the same truth when he was instructing Narada. He said, Soyam te bihitas tata Bhagavan Vishwa Bhavana. That's from Bhagavatam 2.750, so we would have read that just a little while ago. There is no other cause of all causes than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Therefore, this verse, Aham Eva, never indicates anything other than the Supreme Lord, and one should therefore follow the path of follow the path of the Brahma Sampradaya, or the path from Brahmaji to Narada to Vyasadeva, etc., and make it a point in life to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, or Lord Krishna. This very confidential instruction to the pure devotees of the Lord was also given to Arjuna and to Brahma in the beginning of the creation. The demigods like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Indra, Chandra, and Varun are undoubtedly different forms of the Lord for execution of different functions. The different elemental ingredients of material creation, as well as the multifarious energies, also may be of the same personality of Godhead. But the root of all of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One should be attached to the root of everything rather than bewildered by the branches and leaves. That is the instruction given in this verse. So we should water the root of the tree and not the branches. Not that the branches are not important, but they're naturally nourished if we water the root. And what is the root? The root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. And we should understand that through sampradaya, through a chain of disciplic succession, from one teacher to another, coming directly from this conversation between Krishna, God, and Lord Brahma, the original engineer of the material universe. So from that conversation, that dialogue has been passed down from generation to generation, and we're here bearing witness to it now in the pages of the Granth Srimad Bhagavatam. And in that way, we should follow a bona fide sampradaya, or lineage of disciplic succession like that, and then we can understand these things more clearly. Anything you would like to say before we close?
No, that's true.
Okay, it is all confirmed. So at least we finished the first shloka of the 4 seed verses of the Bhagavatam, and so we'll continue next time with verse 2 of the Chatur Shloki, or 4 seed verses of the Bhagavatam. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much.